Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Ana Belén Juste, moderator of this MOOC, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our webinar on the BSCS 5E Instructional Model for Soil Education. We will wait a minute for everyone to join. In the meantime, I would like to inform you that this webinar session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the course platform as soon as it's finished. You can see that your cameras and microphones are disabled. However, you can comment and ask your question in the chat, and we will conclude the webinar with our speaker answering your questions. Now, for example, you can write where you are from, because we like to know where are you connecting from. In addition, we have our colleague Diego, who will support us from the technical side. Well, I hope that you are enjoying this course so far and that you've been learning new insights about soil health, sustainability, and STEM education. This webinar is designed to help you dig even deeper into these topics by exploring how to adapt the BSCS 5E model for soil education and providing practical strategies for creating engaging lessons. We are honored to welcome two esteemed experts with us today, Susan Capellari and Lucas Weinberg. Susan is Professor of Biology and Environmental Education and Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Education at the University of Innsbruck. She leads several European and national research projects focusing on education for sustainable development, science communication, and critical thinking in science education. And Lucas is PhD candidate and project manager at the Department for Science-Specific Education at the same university. His expertise includes open schooling, citizen science, critical thinking, and the development of STEM-related teaching materials. Now I give the floor to Susan, so please go ahead.
You're muted,
Susan, your microphone is muted, I think.
Okay, thank you. It was just a welcome, a very welcome from my side. Thank you for the introduction, and we are now starting into this MOOC session. So Lucas and me, we will share our activities. I hope it will work. It will work well. So we would like to introduce you to the 5E model. It is a framework for successful soil health education. So this framework is a very well-tested framework already. It was the model was developed in the last century, at the end of the last century already, and since then it has been used and tested a couple of times. So we are very sure that if you design teaching in following these 5 phases, then you will have a very high chance that you have a really deep and productive learning process, or you will design a deep and productive learning process for your students. So we will introduce you to this framework in this session, and afterwards we will have a discussion and questions. And if you have any questions in between, please write them into the chat and we will try to answer them later on. So we would like to get started now with a little interactive activity. So because we can't chat and talk a lot with each other, but maybe we can do it via this Mentimeter activity. We would like to ask you which aspects do you consider most important when teaching soil health related topics. You can use this code and then type in what you consider important, and Lucas will take over and will show you how this picture will develop. Shall I give you now the screen, Lucas?
It's already working. We can see it. We can see that it is considered as very important here, and we just wait for some more answers, and then we will have another slide as well. So, Susanne, as you can see, the participants think of soil health education as an important topic in their teaching. Next question is, what kind of soil health issues are visible in your local legend? So you just wrote in the chat about your location, and we're interested now, are you aware of some soil health issues? And if yes, what kind of soil health issues are present in your local region? So it's desertification in several countries, landslides, erosion, various problems and issues, humidity, drip irrigation. So we can see, if we take a look at all those issues, we can see that soil health is a very broad topic, which brings a lot of different issues with it. I think that becomes very visible when we take a look at these. And then I have a third slide. It's about your teaching. So we just talked about, or we just saw the problems, and we in the LOESS project are working now since 2 years, since nearly 2 years with soil health and integrating soil health education in the curricula and the teaching. And so we are wondering, what do you think on those aspects? Very interesting. Same as with the issues, we have very broad topics, starting with sustainability, going over mental health aspects, or just health aspects, biodiversity, power supply. So Susanne, as you can see, we have various answers on this question here. And we are looking forward to listen from you on how to integrate it in our teaching. I think you can take over now again.
Okay, thank you very much. It is very obvious that soil health and healthy soils are topics that are needed to be addressed in schools, but also in museums or whatever kind of education setting you are from. And what we think is this session will just give you a framework how to address this topic. It's not about addressing the topic as such and addressing the content as such. It is just to give you an example how you can design an educational setting and these different phrases and what you have to to consider. There is another option to give to put your opinions in, which is the questionnaire we have designed in the LOESS project. This questionnaire is asking educators which topics you would like to teach and what you need to teach this topic properly. And we invite you to join this questionnaire with this code. Not now, because we are now working in this session, but maybe afterwards. And have a look. There is a big list of different topics that need to be addressed. And as you already showed, there are so many different perspectives that need to be covered in educational contexts. And because we are in the LOESS project, we are also working on teaching material. It will be really helpful for us to see what are the topics that teachers really need more information about. What do they really want to teach and do not have teaching material currently, so that we can shift our activities into topics that are most needed. So if you have time, we are happy if you could complete the questionnaire. We are now asking people in whole Europe to fill in the questionnaire so that we get a better picture on which topics are interesting and most important for you. So thank you very much if you take some time and do this questionnaire. So what is the framework all about? As I said, it is a already well-tested approach to science teaching. It was also well-tested in the time where we had a focus on inquiry-based teaching, because the inquiry-based teaching cycle is very similar to this framework. But this framework is more open, and it's not only focused on a particular way of science teaching. It could also be done in any other subject. And the important thing here is that it's also based on learning theories. It's not only based on one learning theory, it is taking 3 learning theories into consideration, which is the cognitivism learning theory, constructivism, and experiential learning. So it is focusing on a better understanding of the content. It's focusing on a constructing understanding of a phenomenon by each person itself. And it is also based on hands-on learning, doing, being active in your learning process. So each phase has a specific goal and contributes to the teacher's coherent instruction and the students formulating a better understanding of scientific and technological knowledge, attitudes, and skills. And the thing is that it looks like a cycle, and a cycle you can start wherever you want. So you do not have to start with the engage phase. You can start also with an explain phase. But what the engage phase at the beginning is strong if you want students to become interested, to get excited about the topic, so that they really want to learn more about it. So therefore, many of these teaching materials which are taking these 5 phases into consideration, they start with an engage phase. Engaging would mean something that really triggers students' interest in the topic. So we try now in the following slides, we try to give you some ideas how this engage phase could look like. For example, this is another, sorry, I just jumped into the next phase. For a topic such as soil diversity or soil hazard, or all these topics that you have already mentioned, climate change is also an important topic that needs to be addressed in relation to soil. You can achieve different aspects in these different phases. So engage phase I already explained. It's something that really triggers the interest. And for example, the elaborate phase is looking into digging deeper into this engagement and into a more sophisticated content, exploring what mean that the students have some time where they find out some new knowledge themselves, so that they can do some kind of research or some literature research or doing some experiments. Another phase that would be the explain phase. The explain phase is important, that if somebody explains a content, then he or she learns the most. So usually the teachers are the smartest people in the class, because they explain what the content is all about. So if you want your students to get a more deeper learning experience, then you ask the students to explain each other or explain the teacher how they think this phenomenon can be explained. So we reviewed teaching material in 13 participating countries, and we found out that there's loads of teaching material already around. Maybe not for all the topics you mentioned, but there's many teaching materials addressing biodiversity, for example, in the soil, or growing food crops in soil or something like this. And many of these materials, they are really, really strong in engaging students into the topic and addressing the topic, soil, and they are really strong in exploring soil in different ways. For example, different biodiversity, different parameters or indicators, soil indicators and stuff like this. However, there's less material that is asking students to explain the phenomena themselves. And only a few include tasks or ask students to explore a content in depth, so that they really go into this elaborating phase. And even less of this teaching material ask for evaluating the learning process. And evaluation, as you maybe remember from the little graph, is put in the middle, and evaluation should take place in every phase, so that the teacher gets a good insight into the students' learning progress, so in a kind of formative assessment, and in addition to find out what the students really learned, or how they memorized the content, which skills they developed, and so on. So what we recommend is that engaging and exploring, these are the phases which are really really well elaborated already in many teaching units, but we really recommend to have a focus on explaining, giving students opportunities to explain and elaborate the knowledge, so dig deeper into a more deeper understanding of the phenomenon. So let's try. How can such a teaching experience look like? So, for example, for an engaging phase, we would like you to just engage into soil sounds. So we are trying in the engage phase, we are trying to offer students something they would not immediately link to soil. So listen to soil is something that could be really exciting for students. So Lucas put the link in the chat already, so you can try out yourself. You just put in the link, and then you will get to a page. It's a Swiss page. In Switzerland, they are currently running a big project. Sounding Soil it's their name, and if you click to one of these dots, take a black one, for example. Let's take this one. Here I can't work with it. However, you just click on one of these spots, and then there will be a sound example of a particular soil that has been measured here. So they have a little device which is a microphone especially adapted for putting it into the soil so that you can listen to sounds that is made by organisms living in the soil, and you can just try out these different sounds. I'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes just to check it, and maybe you can put into the chat how you whether it works or not. Hopefully it works, and what you can hear, and what you how do you like this approach in terms of engaging students with soil. Does it work? Okay, you can see people answering, Lucas.
I don't see them answering, but
I
saw some reactions. I saw some reactions,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And for me, it works as well, yeah.
It works correctly. That's what we hear. Yeah, yes, it's working. So it depends. We talked about the topic biodiversity in soil, and what this project already found out is that depending on the organism living in a particular soil, the sounds are different. So you can hear different animals have a different sound, a different altitude or frequency. So, and you can measure how do you say, bestimmen, you can address different soil types by a particular sound pattern. So yeah, it's I just read it in the chat. It's incredible how different these are. The microscope you can order. I think there is also a link on this website if you want to order the microphone for your school class, and I think it's rather easy to use. The challenging aspect is about the background noise. So if you put it into the soil and there are other people standing next to it, then you can't hear properly, because then the other noises are too loud. But I think if you try it out, that could be an option. There is somebody who said he cannot hear anything. Did you click at the dark dots, or there should be if you click at one of these numbers or dots, then something is opening, a little window is opening, and then it says you can push the button and listen. Okay, there's also maybe save delete. Okay, good. So this is an option to get into the discussion. Why is it possible that the soil sounds so different, that there are so many different sounds? Who are the ones who are making the sound in the soil? Which animals do you think are living in this place? So for the engaged phase, it is the goal that we learn a little bit more about what students already know. So if we ask the question, what do you think? Who do you think is making the noise? And we listen and collect on the flip chart, for example, what the children think. Then I assume that there are worms that maybe the children already know from rainy days or whatever. So we can see in the engage phase, we use the engage phase to see what the children already know and to spark interest for the topic. And you can collect these ideas on the whiteboard to somehow go back to it afterwards and see whether we find out more about more about soil, what we didn't know at the beginning of the lesson. So the next phase could be the explore phase. The explore phase is usually something that the children can do by themselves. It's a hands-on activity where they find out something themselves, where they are asked to explore, for example, different soil samples. You can collect soil samples from different places, like in an organic farm. We assume that in an organic farm, the soil is noisier. There are many more organisms in the soil. Therefore, there will be a difference that the children can observe. You can also give them a soil sample from conventional agriculture place where there is usually a monoculture and where the way how they treat the soil is more different to the organic farm soil, and there is a huge difference between the living organism in a healthy organic farm soil and in the conventional one. And you can also take another sample from a recreation area in the city, from a park, so that you have different soil types. And then the task for the students is to observe the soil closely and compare the 3 soil samples. They should feel it, they should smell it, maybe they shouldn't taste it, but they should try to find out the differences with their senses. Then you can also ask them, what animals can you find out how they are called, is the next question. So they try to get the animals out of the soil, and then you provide them with a key and offer them a key to find out how these animals are called, for example. And they could do it all by themselves. The determination key, either you just get it from the internet or you make it yourself, so that you have those animals in which you have in your soil samples. You provide magnifying glassing, a worksheet or a protocol. This is always important in each phase, that you somehow make it produce a documentation or write down what the students thought about, what the ideas they had, what they found out, because these protocols are finally needed for the students to come back to this learning phase and remember what they found out and learned about it. So that could be an example for an identification key. This is only names or a particular criteria they should look at, for example. And then there's the next phase. So these 2 phases, engaging students and exploring something in soil, this is rather frequently offered in teaching material on the internet already. And usually we see a phase in teaching where the teacher is explaining what this is all about. And the goal is for this phase is to support students to deepen their understanding, and in addition to offer them the opportunity to explain each other what they have learned. So when they worked with this key, found out different animals, you can put them in groups and ask them to share their findings and explain each other's why they think this animal is living in this soil. How does this animal, for example, eat, or what does the animal eat in the soil? And the teacher will offer additional information by drawing a bigger picture. What is healthy soil? How does the soil look like? Why do we need the animals in the soil? And so on. So this phase is used to to help the students have the students found out bits and pieces about particular animals, and to get the picture, the role of the teacher is to draw this picture for the students. Those who explain learn the most. I think I said this already. So students can receive information cards about each animal they found, and then they, for example, prepare a small presentation and explain how a particular animal contributes to the soil system. You can either give them a particular number of animals, or each child does a different animal, so that they get to learn something from each other, and the presentations are different from each other. So then it makes more sense for the students to listen to the presentations if they don't present, for example, only the animals that they found in their in the soil sample together, but each student should present an individual animal and explain how the animal lives, what it eats, how it contributes to a healthy soil system. And the next step, this is the elaboration phase. So this is the time where students should be asked to dig deeper. So not to stay or stop at a very superficial level, but really dig deeper into the topic. And now you ask the students to provide, students will get information about these 3 soil types. Groups of 4 select one soil type and receive additional information about its characteristics. So they now dig deeper into the topic. They will create a poster to answer the following question, for example: which animals are living in the soil? How do they contribute to the characteristics of the soil type? That's what they already worked on in the phases before. And now they should explain why this is a healthy soil and why it is not a healthy soil. So they should find out themselves why an organic soil from an organic farm might be more healthy than a soil from a recreation place in the city, for example. So this is the phase where you start to dig deeper into the field. And then finally, to evaluate the learning process, it's you can apply different approaches, a formative and a summative approach. So in the evaluation phase is not meant to be understood as a traditional assessment. Rather, it serves as to recognize and diagnose learning prerequisites and learning progressions in each phase, and thus guides the teacher's next steps. So whenever you have during a phase, exploring phase, engaging phase, explaining phase, whatever, you always may think about how can I find out what the students, where are my students already, what do they already understand, where do they, or who has still difficulties to understand particular aspects, and you try to arrange the following phase as a learning environment for your students to grow. That is the goal for the formative assessment. For the summative assessment, you set goals at the beginning. You just let the students know that at the end of this teaching unit, where you talk about soil health or soil hazards or whatever, you want them to know particular aspects. And if students already know at the beginning, what's the goal for this session? What do I have to find out? What do I have to learn? It's easier for them to really focus on this learning process. Okay, now that would be the first introduction, and I just hand over now to Lucas. We would like to do the wrap up now, or have a short feedback session, or maybe questions.
Yeah, you can go to the slide again, because there's the QR code, and then we can go back to the Menti. And I go to the next slide, and the next slide is which topics related to soil health education would you integrate in your teaching? So because we saw that soil health is such a broad topic, the problems connected to soil health is a very broad topic, and also your connections to soil and the importance of soil is very broadly communicated, as you talked about biodiversity aspects. You answered also health aspects. So we were wondering which aspects are you planning to integrate in your teaching? And therefore we have another Menti, and the first answers are already coming. And I share my screen for you so you can read with me. And Susanne, maybe you can also read. Can you see it? So maybe we take one of those aspects and think about back to the five E phases. Maybe we can find some examples. For example, when it's about biodiversity. What do you think, Susanne? How can we engage students?
Yeah, about biodiversity, I think it is engaging students in biodiversity. I think it's already that what we presented. So just bring some soil, let them have a look at it. I think that is the easiest way to engage students in soil. I think there's also an aspect which I would like to answer. This was the question: how do we get healthy soil? This is something that we can really explore or elaborate in an elaboration phase, because it has a lot to do in how the soil is treated. So a healthy soil usually is a soil that humans do not interfere with. So it doesn't have to be a very biodiverse soil, but it is a soil that humans do not change in any way. That would be a healthy soil. But however, as humans, we live on this planet, and we do agriculture, and we work. We use the soil as a resource, or for growing crops, or for parking our cars, or whatever. And what we can do to make soil healthy again is depending on how we treat it. So, for example, when we do in conventional or industrial farming, we use big machines to do the harvest, to plow the ground, and the soil is turned around so that organisms who usually live in deeper layers of the soil are turned around and put on the surface of the soil, and that destroys actually the biome in the soil. However, if we use big machines, we can they will always put down squeeze together the soil, and there is hardly any air in the soil here. So farmers have to plow the ground and turn it around, and if they do it, they destroy it. So the traditional, the industrial way of acting with or working with the soil is really a difficulty. The students can find out themselves what are the problems in conventional farming, for example, or industrial farming. How is the soil treated in this in this way of industrial farming? What can be the problem? They already found out that animals live in different layers of the soil, and that there are different animals in different soil layers. So they can find out that it is a problem to turn the soil around, for example. So that would be an activity or an engagement for the students to find out how is the difference, how is the soil treated different in organic farming and in industrial farming, for example. That could be an aspect. If we have lost the fertility, for example, we can use compost. So bringing compost into the soil again, it will not restore the soil immediately, but it makes it much better. It offers opportunities for more organisms to live in. So putting compost into the soil would be, for example, a solution. So for teaching or working with the students, you can use a little compost box in your class. So you can ask the students, you set up this box. There are different ways of how to do it. You can find this in the internet. You put this box in the class. The children put all the organic waste they have from the food they bring into the class, for example, they can put in, and then they can see how this organic material is degraded by organism. And the compost that is produced, you can again put into the soil, for example, in your school garden, and see how this will change the plant diversity that is growing in this plot, for example.
Susanne, there are some questions in the chat. Like the first question would be, what could be the shortest possible activity to learn restoration firsthand? Maybe it goes also with compost, having a compost in school garden.
Yes, I think that is the shortest thing, because the degradation is done in a couple of weeks, so you can see how it is changing. It's not a very long time that needed to see how the organic material is changing and turning into soil.
And you can also make use of the animals, like you see all those animals and can like work with them, or like observe the work of the animals in there. Another question would be how to aerate a field if you do not remove the compost with the poor soil.
Aerate a field if you do not remove
also wiederherstellen, beziehungsweise.
Yeah. So you can mix it, but you should try to not mix it too deep. That is the challenge. If you, for example, in former times, the farmers, they only had little plows, so they didn't dig, they didn't mix the soil very deep. Only the first 15 centimeters, maybe something like this. And if you mix the soil here, then you can somehow get change. How do you say? Mix the compost in, and in addition, you can also use planting. So when you plant particular plants like leguminosen, like peas, for example, they also help to restore the soil. So if you do a green planting, put plants on top. First you just mix it a little, then you plant plants. Use the plants to dig up the soil with their roots, and then try to get some worms in it, for example. that could help a little to restore the soil. But you have to be aware that the soil, the recreation of soil is very time consuming. It takes a couple of years. I recently talked to a farmer and he said they used compost for restoring an industrial farmland to become an organic farmland, and it took them about 20 years to restore the soil so that it is now a really healthy soil that they want to get. So you have to be aware it's time consuming.
Do you know about any example or exemplary activity using a microscope, which is online, which you could see online?
That we can see online. Unfortunately, not. But I think no. But maybe that is I think it is a good idea. We have a really good microscope and we have really good a good camera. So we will do a little video, maybe, Lucas, and put it online and let you know. We'll send you a link. I assume that we have your addresses, and we will just make a short video and we will put it online, because it's really amazing how many animals you can see if you have a good microscope, and how they look like, and how a soil is really a living biome. It's amazing.
We are just working on the blueprint, and the blueprint will be on the LOESS website one day, and there we will think of the integration of the video as well, and some materials as well. So are there further questions from your side? Question or more?
Yeah, the fields in Spain are too hard. I can imagine that this is difficult. So if I could only recommend for if they are so hard, there are not so many animals living in this soil anymore. And some of these natural soils, they don't have loads of biodiversity in. If you want to introduce your students into a living soil, I really recommend to go for places near a river where it is more moist and where there is more humus in it. Yes, I do not find any. That is challenging. If you can't find soil like this, then I really recommend to do a compost box in the class, because then you have actually the opportunity to generate this a living soil yourself, and you only have to put organic material, like all the food waste. The children shouldn't put any animal organic material from animals in, like sausages or stuff like this. That could make a problem. But all the plant stuff they usually eat, and there's the plant waste, you put in the box and then you wait. It will take you about 4 to 6 weeks, and then you will at least already see what's happening in there and who is living in there. I'm looking for activities that would involve some kind of challenge. It's for STEAM Center. Yes, we collected. We will have a blueprint. In the blueprint, we will publish teaching material that has been collected already by partner institutions, and links that they consider as engaging material. And you can go to the website and have a look at these collections of teaching materials. So that will be also one of the outputs that the LOESS project is developing.
Yes. So I've just posted the link to the LOESS website into the chat, and there you can find very helpful materials. You can find case studies from all the participants participating countries. You can find resources, and the project is going to be like running 1 more year, and there's going to happen a lot more. Like we are just working out an application for soil health education, and then we will also post a blueprint, or like it's like a handbook, like a manual for teachers or for educators you can make use of.
Yeah, there's also I see in the chat that there's academic knowledge is important, but still there's an expectation for activities to make kids solve some problems or create something. So in terms of creation, there's an activity I really like to do with children, and in particular younger children, because you can paint with soil. For example, what you have to do is you just take a handful of soil, you put it into water, you stir it, and then you have a very fine material on the top. You just take what is swimming on the top or what is floating in the water. You take the water, you wait until this floating stuff is setting down in the glass. Then you pour off the water, take only this already very fine grind substance, put another water in, mix it, and you take again only the water that is where you have a very fine floating material in, put it in the next jar, and then you wait until this material sets down, and then you have a very, very fine stuff which has the color of the soil that you used. You can either take red soil or yellow one or dark brown one, and you can use this very fine material to paint really nice pictures with these earth colors, for example. In terms of problem solving, you can ask your students to think about what can we do if we have in our school ground, if there is currently no open ground, can we somehow change this? And then you can set up a raised bed, for example, where you plant plants where the children can eat, like tomatoes and stuff like this. So if you don't have a good an open ground, open school ground, you can set up raised bed, for example, with the students, and then find out what is growing in there and how you maybe also work on it and find solutions, how you can open up ground again, how you can use your school area for growing plants, whether you can change something here. That could be a challenge that you can ask your students. You can also ask your students to use the little ground that is still open ground to do vertical gardening, for example, so that they see, okay, even if there's only little ground, there's an opportunity to restore the soil and plant plants, for example.
Thank you.
There's a great example. Thank you for the process called.
The process you just explained. I think it's
painting. Yes. I hope that there should be a Google link. I will check this. Or can we again? We will put this in the framework and let you know somehow. I'm not sure whether the one that I know is in German, but there should be something in English. Colors. I would Google colors, earth colors, something like this. I assume that you can find this in English. So usually even in professional painting, they use earth colors. So I assume that you can find how to make it with in the internet.
Yeah, there's a lot if you Google. Okay, so if there are not further questions, I hand over to Anna again, I guess.
Thank you, Lucas. So thank you all for participating in this webinar. Many thanks to our speakers, Susan and Lucas, for sharing their experience, answer all the questions and improving soil education. And we thank all our participants for their engagement and interesting questions. We hope that you have gained knowledge that you can apply in your teaching practice. And as you know, the recording of this session will be uploaded to the platform shortly so that you can refer back to the content whenever you need to. We would also like to invite you to become a speaker at our next Teach Meet. This is a fantastic opportunity to share your soil education activities with others, exchange ideas, and inspire other educators. If you are interested, please let us know and we will provide you more details. And we look forward to continuing this exciting journey with you and exploring even more aspects of soil education in the coming weeks. And thank you so much and see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.